and that'll be really cool. So come join us. Good morning to those of you on YouTube who are with us. Good morning where I am. For some of you, it may not be morning anymore, but yeah, let me know where you're joining from and let's hang out together. And again, if you're just tuning in, I have just a random cracker here and some cranberry juice, and those are going to be my implements for our communion today. Kansas is in the house, Seattle, Ontario. And then at the end of the Zoom meeting, so you're welcome to join us in the Zoom meeting if you'd like and be a part of the discussion. You go to my bio on TikTok or YouTube. There's a link tree there that'll take you to the link to come join us. Tuscaloosa in the house. Hi, Jen. Or you can hang out here on TikTok or YouTube, whichever is your best. YouTube is the cleaner stream because YouTube allows us to stream. TikTok, all I can do is point my camera at the window of my computer and pick up the sound through the microphone. Otherwise, you're so welcome to just stay where you are and be a part of it. San Francisco, one of my favorite places. We're going to be up there around the July 4th weekend to go see a Giants game. And I just always love going to San Francisco. It's my favorite city in the world, other than my hometown of Fresno. South Padre Island, oh, beautiful place. Virginia, also a beautiful place. So glad you guys are here with us. And so we're connecting our hearts and spirits together, even through online interaction, so that we can corporately connect to the spirit of heaven. And yeah, so then we'll have a discussion. I'll come back to you on TikTok and we will have a wonderful opportunity to chat together, and you can ask questions and all of those things. And if you want to go in the Zoom room and then come back to TikTok hour for discussion, you can do that. El Paso, Texas. I lived in El Paso for about 18 months. I worked on TV there on the Fine 9, it was called then, Channel 9. I did sports for Channel 9 in El Paso. Rockland. Hey, I was just talking to some folks from the Sacramento area. Sorry, my nose is running here, guys. And saying, if we could get a group together that wanted to hang out, a deconstruction group that wanted to hang out in Sacramento, it'd be pretty easy for me to drive up and have a meal with you guys. So yeah, let me know if we want that to work in Rockland or Folsom or Orangevale or any of those towns. I feel like my hair is just a wacky mess. So we're about to get ready to go. And I'm going to turn you around on TikTok.
Good morning.
Hi, everyone. All right, I'm trying to get all my stuff set up here technologically.
Scott, I don't know if we've met yet. Where are you at in the world?
Hi, no, this is my first time. Been following the podcast for a few months. Right, I'm from Dallas, but right now I'm in Flagstaff, Arizona, on a van trip.
Oh, nice. We actually got stuck in Flagstaff, Arizona on a car trip one time. That's the only interaction I've ever had with Flagstaff.
I love the area.
I'll be with you guys in just a second, trying to get this thing to work.
There's several new people today. Venus, have we met? No, she just jumped off. Amy, I'm not sure if we've met before.
No, this is my first time as well. I found Paul on TikTok, and so I've been kind of looking for a good community. So I thought I'd come by and check you guys out.
Wonderful. Welcome.
All right. Yeah, keep going. Keep introducing everybody. I like it.
Let's see. Sandy?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, I'm from Alabama, and I can't figure out how to turn my video on right now. It's
I will.
Let's start video, but I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm 61. I'm not very smart.
Don't worry about it. Thanks
All
for
good.
joining.
Anyway, I just love all of y'all so much.
So cool.
And I think the last new one was Venus. I tried to say hi and then you dropped off.
Oh, did we lose Venus?
Venus, can you hear us? Oh, maybe we're having audio issues.
All right.
And hello to everybody who's not new as well. Ryan, James, Eric.
Yeah, good to see. And the bunny rabbit with Amy, that's cool. And just so everyone is aware, we are streaming live on YouTube and TikTok while we go. So just know as we're having discussion and you want to share anything, just know that it is going out to the world and it will be preserved on my YouTube channel forever, or however long YouTube lasts, I guess. And so just adjust what you share accordingly with what you're feeling with that. And so I sort of thought this was going to be a Sunday where somebody's saying no sound. Oh, Venus has no sound. Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that wasn't me having no sound there. This is going to be a sharing time this Sunday. We're going to just kind of share how we're doing, and so just be aware of what's going out. But I want to start. We're going to start today with communion, but I want to give just a little bit time for more people to join. But if you're not aware, if you're new, just know that you can run to your cupboard, and I have like just a basic cracker and some cranberry juice from my kitchen, and you can grab some wine, beer, water, tortilla, bread, cracker, whatever will symbolize just the act and tradition of Christian communion for you today. Get that. The communion meal, the breaking of bread in the Bible was usually a meal more than it was like a cracker and grape juice, as we celebrate in most of our churches today. So just know that whatever you have, communion is more about connecting our spirits together and connecting with the divine spirit of heaven than it is about having the right implements. So whatever you have, that'll work for you. That is beautiful. So did anybody have anything cool or not so cool happen in their week this week that you would share just to kick us off? I know that's an intimidating question.
I went to a birthday party today in Italy, which is in Italian. It was a very long family event, which was kind of cool. Usually in in America, the kids do something, the adults they might stand around with a little plate of something. This was like a meal. Like they had tables, they had 3 courses, and the kids were just off doing something, playing, running around. So it was different, but it was lots of fun. So that was the end of my week.
Very cool. Anybody else? Our son got to go to senior grad night at Disneyland this week, which is one of the benefits of living in California. And so they had a wild time. And as usual, the bus trip was an adventure and crazy. And so that was a lot of fun. And they got home at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're all grumpy and angry and really mad, and had a great time. Anybody else have anything unique happen in your week?
Well, we've been away on vacation for the last 3 weeks, so I don't know which is better, going away on vacation or getting back home. It's sure nice being in my own bed for a change. Good to be back.
Good to have you, James. I usually need a vacation day to get over vacation, so when I get back. Well, I'm really excited to have us all together here today, and I just think it's always an honor to share time and share life. Time is our most valuable commodity. And so whenever we share time together, I think it's always worthy to honor one another and be grateful that we're giving our time to each other. The term for Holy Spirit in the New Testament that we see often is paraclete or paracletus, or that's sort of a Greekified version of, I believe, a Latin term, but it generally means an advocate or somebody who comes alongside. And the Bible says the Spirit of God is in us. And I believe that makes us paracletes for one another, that we are a spirit of heaven that comes alongside one another. And so just take a moment and look at the people on the screen today and just honor that they're coming alongside you today, and you're coming alongside them, and we're coming alongside one another to carry this thing of life together. And just feel what it feels like for your spirit to be connected, even through this online venue of being connected together in community in this moment. In my yoga practice and in many Buddhist practices, they use the term namaste, which means the light in me recognizes the light in you. And I just think of that at this moment of the spirit in me recognizes the spirit of heaven in you, and I honor that spirit today. So with that as a backdrop, let's take the implements of communion, and I just speak a blessing over all these implements, that they are more than crackers and juice, bread and water, food and drink today. They are implements of a spiritual moment that we're sharing together. So this may be a little bit difficult question to ask, but I would just love somebody to share from your heart. What does communion mean to you? What does it mean to you to be taking communion today with us together as a community? You can just speak up and jump in.
There's so many things, but one that I was just thinking of that I feel like we haven't talked as much about over the last couple of years, but is the extent to which this ties us in over 2,000 years of history. And growing up evangelical, this was the one, I'm gonna blank the term now, the one sacrament, or maybe one of two, I guess. Marriage was sometimes considered a sacrament, but one of the sacraments, I guess, that we held on to from the older, more sacramental churches. And I really appreciate that kind of continuity line between my grandfather, who was Episcopalian, and my evangelical upbringing, what we're doing now.
Yeah, it's good. Venus, I see your hand raised.
Thanks for the question. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's complicated because I was raised in a high demand church, and I left at 19. And I've basically been deconstructing from that ever since. And I haven't taken, I went to the Catholic Church for a little bit and I took communion there, but I haven't in years and years. And so some of it is a little loaded. Some of it feels, brings up those old feelings of not being worthy or being afraid that breaking a covenant. So, but okay, so the other thing is in communion, the word that comes to me is community. And I feel like because I'm not practicing that religion anymore, I lost my own community a long time ago. And so it's hard to, I lack the community. So I'm just coming here open-minded, hearing what you have to say. If it triggers me, then that's my problem. You seem like a nice fellow, so I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
What harm can it do?
Thank you for sharing that. That's courageous, and we're honored that you would share that with us. And any of us have permission to look at communion as it is safe for us. And we take communion with open hearts and open to all of all creeds and beliefs. Some of my Christian friends have questioned me on that in the past, and I think communion is an invitation, not a demarcation. So I can certainly understand why it is triggering for some, though. But I love the idea of communion tying back to community and also giving us a through line of history to Jesus. And I actually think Jesus and Christianity are two very different things sometimes. And so in a through line of history to Jesus, we do as he asked for us to do, to remember him, his teachings, his life, what he portrayed to us, and to do it in community as he demonstrated by doing it with his disciples and washing their feet and sacrificing himself on that night. And out of that, out of community and honor with one another in that history, we take this together today. And as we're doing this, just sense yourself as a spiritual being. We are body, and inside is a spirit, and the body is temporary. The spirit is eternal. I'm not saying the body's bad. The body is very good. It's fearfully and wonderfully made, but it is temporary. Our soul is eternal. And just feel your spirit almost bubbling out of your body as we sit here together. What does it feel like for our spirit to interact with the divine spirit of heaven in this moment? A spirit that's not what we were told it was at times in our childhood, but a spirit of goodness that draws us to our best self, to a life that is Zoe life, abundant life, full life. Is there anybody else that would like to share what communion means to you on this day? Yeah, Sandy. We're not hearing you yet. You may be muted, Sandy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I grew up in a church where we had communion every single Sunday. That's what we were, taught that that's what it meant in the Bible to have it every single Sunday. And sometimes it became just ritualistic, habitual, and it was hard to always keep in mind, what does it really mean? You know, you have to really focus on it because you have it every single Sunday, and it's such a special time. And it got to where I just try to tell myself when I'm, you know, taking the bread or drinking the juice that this is just Jesus' strength coming into me for a new week, and just try to kind of start all over. And that's what it kind of meant to me when I would take it.
Love that. I love that. So what if we take our drink today and we bless it, we declare it holy, and we just say, give us strength for this week out of this moment of community together. I bless you. Let's take. And I'm like you, Sandy. We didn't take it every Sunday. We took it the first Sunday of every month because I guess that's when Jesus commanded us to take it, was the first Sunday of every month. But it was a ritual. Rituals aren't inherently bad, but when it takes the meaning out of something and you do it out of ritual rather than for the ritualistic pointing towards the meaning of what it is, or I like to try to do it a little bit differently every time just so we're focusing on some other aspect of it, then we lose the power of what we're doing in communing with each other and with heaven in this moment. So we just allow our spirits to feel what it's like to sit with the divine spirit of heaven. Whatever that spirit looks like to you, I always want to emphasize, I think God will be present with you in whatever way feels safe. That God is not held in a box of 2 eyes, 2 ears, and a nose, but God is something greater than a being sitting on a throne that can be extant with us as feels safe and interactive with heaven with us. So I bless you to feel that divine spirit today and to take that into this week. Yeah, strengthening. Does anybody else want to share? I don't want to rush off from this moment too quickly.
I just wanted to share, like, I never feel any shame taking communion in this community, and I always felt like, even though, you know, I didn't do many things wrong, I always felt like I was wrong, or there was something wrong with me when I used to take communion growing up. Like, oh, did I check all the boxes this week? Did I ask God to forgive me for that time I, you know, might have yelled at my sister, or those types of things? And when I take communion with this community, I don't feel that. I feel like this is a safe space for me to be, and that that God accepts me for who I am, however I'm deciding to remember Jesus. Like, it's not about what I haven't done or what I've done wrong. So that's what I was really thinking about today.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Awesome. Well, amen. We bless that. Bless that. All right, I'm going to show a video, and so I just thought we would open. Oh, I'm sorry, James. I see your hand up. Go ahead, James.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking that, you know, Lauren was mentioning that communion is a sacrament, and I think I may be wrong in this, but I tend to think of sacraments as a picture of something that's deeper. That it's just kind of it's kind of a reflection of something that's more eternal and has a deeper thought to it. And that, you know, when Jesus says, "Do this in remembrance of me," I'm thinking he's probably talking about more than just, you know, taking a piece of bread and wine. that there's so many more times in the day where we need to be doing things in remembrance of Him, like when we show kindness to somebody, that's doing this in remembrance of Him, or when we respond to a jerk with grace, or keeping your mouth shut, which is what I need to do more often, is do this in remembrance of me. And I just think there's so many more things that when Jesus was saying, do this in remembrance of me, I think there are probably a lot more things that we should be practicing as the church than getting together once a week and drinking grape juice and eating bread. Not that that's wrong, but that it's a picture of something else that's more pertinent, more pressing, more eternal.
Love that. Love that.
Hey, Paul, is it okay if I chase that thought just a little bit further?
Yep.
So I love what you're saying there, James. And one of the things that I ran into in my evangelical upbringing was it would be, if you do something good, tell the person you're doing it to that you're doing it because you're a follower of Jesus or because Jesus loves them or whatever, and always tying the good thing you're doing into evangelism, or even the saying hi to somebody at the gas pump into evangelism. And I love the way you just put that, of when Jesus is telling us, when you did this good deed, you did it unto me. Maybe the point is less of that we should tell everybody else that we're doing it as unto Jesus, and more that we should remember for ourselves that we're doing it as unto Jesus. Anyway, that was a great connection. I hadn't quite put those two together before.
I was having a discussion with somebody this week that it seems weird to me that this evangelical school of thought that says everything good that happens is from God and everything bad that happens is because of me. I'm to give God all the glory for the good stuff that happens because nothing good can come out of me, but the bad stuff is me, and I don't mean to go there with this necessarily, but it just that's been intriguing me all week. And so in interaction with human beings, somebody who says, "Oh, if it's good, I want credit for it. If it's bad, I don't want blame." That is a narcissist. That is a really toxic relationship. And I've been playing a little bit with, and somebody can comment on this. The one of isn't it weird that our theology is we are capable of nothing good, but immense bad, and so we live in this space of, well, if it's good, it's not me. If somebody comes up and says, "Wow, you really did a great job on that TikTok live, Paul," then I should go, "Well, no, that was God. That wasn't me. That was God." But if something bad happens, like, nope, that's not God's fault. That's me. That's free will. It's strange to me that that's our belief system. And I think it is dehumanizing to us. And it is a constant reaffirmation to ourselves of we are incapable of good, which I think is a very dangerous self-belief and teaching. Brian, I see your hand up there.
I totally agree with you, Paul. And interestingly, that concept, in my experience, has gone into the practice of miraculous healing. And it was interesting. I've heard over and over again that whenever a miracle happens, be it healing or words of knowledge or anything like that, that it's all from God. That's got nothing to do with you. And I used to years ago attend a fundamentalist church, and which really didn't even believe in miraculous healing. And I was talking to someone about somebody that I prayed for who got healed, and the person got angry with me, saying, "Oh, it wasn't you; it was all God." And I replied, "Well, yes, the healing came from God, but the prayer came from me, so I had a part in that." And not only just that, but also in charismatic churches, I've encountered, and I know, those of us who've been there have also, this correction, this reprimand, that if you said, hey, I prayed for someone, or we prayed for someone and they got healed, and it's just exciting, there was always either a verbal or a background, belief that it has nothing to do with us. It's all from God. And I remember the scripture about Jesus says, go and heal. It never, and I would sometimes bring that up. It doesn't say, ask God to heal and then step back because you have no part in it whatsoever, because you are powerless. Everything comes from God. And I would say, but the scripture says, Jesus says, go and heal. He does not say, go and ask God. And that, ironically, that made a lot of people feel uncomfortable. And it made me wonder, okay, then what are we doing? If God can just step in and do anything he wants, then what is our purpose? Yeah. So I totally agree with you, Paul. And it was, to me, it creates kind of a contradiction in what the charismatic churches, said we should do. Yeah. Do we have any part of it, even though we're taught to have a part of it? Yeah, that's good. And it kind of creates us into being powerless puppets and victims rather than beings empowered by the Spirit of heaven to move the kingdom of heaven forward ourselves. So I think that's good. I wanted to open up today to some discussion, and I'll get to the guys raising hands, of also just sort of as we're all on a journey together, whether we want to call it deconstruction or reconstruction or renewal or renewing our mind. I don't care what the label is on it, but as some of us have left what we knew before behind and are journeying forward, I just thought I would ask the question of, how's that going for you? What have been the challenges? What are the challenges you're facing now? The questions, what are the victories and joys that you're proud of? And I wanted to, and so I was just going to kick it off with one of my videos, not because they're extraordinary or anything, but just as I was processing through dealing with family as one of the challenges in this. So let me show this video as a way to sort of kick off and be thinking about this idea of where are you on your journey? What's working? What's not? What are you happy about? What are you not happy about? Anything like that. And let's have some sharing time today after I show this video.
When deconstructing our religious or political beliefs, what do we do about family and close relationships that are threatened by the changes occurring in us? This is a lot, particularly about family. We see this story in the Bible where Jesus is at an event and a man comes to him and says, hey, your mom and brothers are outside looking for you. And Jesus looks at the man and says, my family is here, the people who believe in me and with me. Jesus was saying even the Virgin Mary didn't get to pull him away from his purpose in life. For people who prize dogma over relationship, it's going to be very difficult for you to contort enough to fit that need for them. Your mother or father or siblings doesn't include allowing them to abuse you or demand you step away from a process of well-being, health, and truth pursuit in your life. In fact, no one who truly loves you will ask you to do such a thing. And Jesus demonstrated this with his mother and his good friend Peter, whom he said, get behind me, Satan, when Peter started asking Jesus to step away from his purpose in life. There is no law that says you have to be friends with anyone who demands you change your belief system to be in relationship with them, even family. We honor those closest to us, not by contorting ourselves to make them comfortable. We honor those closest to us by working on ourselves to be our best selves.
So that's sort of something I've been processing through and living through in my life in this season. And so I just want to open this up. I saw a really cool thing, and I was going to put up a graphic, but I don't think I'm going to do it now. But I was in a discussion group this week, and they had sort of this list of suggestions before we went in, and just let me, throw this out of like, if you don't normally talk and you don't feel safe to talk, it's totally okay to not be a part of the discussion. But if you never talk, consider like, do I want to be courageous and jump in and be a part of this? And for those of us who are a little more gregarious and always talk, let's not be afraid to allow silence to be available sometimes as people are trying to decide whether to jump in or not. And one of the things they said in this group was just monitor yourself. And if you feel like you talk longer than others, maybe shorten it a little bit, stay on just one topic in your discussion. And if you feel like you're somebody that doesn't talk as much as somebody else, feel free to elongate that out. Let's just give space for one another and really be cognizant of that, okay? And you can also chat in the chat box, and we will keep that off of the feed, by the way, as well. But so where are you on your deconstruction journey? How are you doing? What would you share as a challenge, a thought, a question, or a victory today? Eric, I see your hand up.
Hello everyone. So where I am at, I have been a little, not really sure what to do with myself or with my beliefs now that I am in some kind of version of deconstruction. And I have run across some different, I ran across a TikTok last night that was talking about the god Yahweh being a part of the Canaanite pantheon. And I've looked into some sources. I haven't done any reading yet, but I'm just I'm not bothered by it, but I'm intrigued by it. And I'm trying to decide where I land if I find out that a lot of this is just constructed over years and years of different ethnic cultures building religions. And I don't really know where to go with that, but I'm sort of just like, but I've had faith in something this entire time that has done quite incredible things in my life. So whatever's happening, like I'm not giving up my faith. I'm just sort of wondering who's behind the curtain.
Very nice. Does anybody have encouragement or thoughts on what Eric shared there? I see some folks online are saying, me too, Eric, me too. How are you guys looking at God now in this part of your journey? Venus, James has his hand up. James.
Well, I think I've kind of said this before, but for me, I'm not deconstructing. I think I'm dealing with the fact that so many others are deconstructing, and I think that I see deconstruction happening on both sides, both the conservative and the liberal side.
So, what does it look like to you, James?
Well, to me, it's a matter of my trying to hold on to the truths that I know are true. That to not let just as an example, on my vacation, I stopped and saw a friend of mine who I shared a farmhouse with for about 4 months when I was a very young Christian. We were both young Jesus freaks, and I hadn't seen him in probably 40 years, and he used to be just such a fun, sweet guy. And so he asked me to tell him about my life over the last 40 years, and I told him the truth about how I just have been heartbroken by what I see going on in the evangelical community and how it's just been so difficult. And this is a smart guy. He's got his doctorate. He's not at all what I would think of today as the fundamentalist. And then he sends me an email saying how I had nothing but negative things to say and how critical I was. And because I've prayed about that, I know I have a tendency to be negative. But so for me, deconstruction is what I'm seeing going on all around me. I mean, this is a guy who used to believe in God's grace being more important than anything else, or this is how I saw it. But he's deconstructed his faith, and then I see, honestly, on the more liberal side, I understand, you know, the response to what's going on, frustration with what we see from the fundamentalist church, but I also think we have to be really careful about just tossing out our values because we see, you know, hatred and bigotry and everything else on the other side. So for me, it's not so much my deconstruction. I'm trying to hold on to those truths I still believe are true. So I don't know. I just think that a lot of this is dealing with how everybody else has changed. Can we hold on to what we believe to be true?
Thanks for sharing, James. Sandy, you had your hand up. Oops, sorry. Sandy, you had your hand up earlier. Did you want to share something, or did you choose not to?
That me?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, Sandy had.
Oh, you said, oh, it's okay.
I was just, you know, Sandy had her hand up earlier when I had went into the video, and I just wanted.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, you grow up hearing, give it to God. Just God has this. Just give it to Him. You know, He's in control. And I never have really believed that because of all the bad things that happened, not just in my life. I'm talking about just in the world. I'm like, doesn't look like He's in control to me, you know. And then you also hear that, well, you are God's hands and feet on this earth. And then that really makes me feel guilty, like, oh, this is pretty much all up to me if something gets done. So I have a hard time figuring out which part is God's and which part is mine, you know. And that's just the struggle I have had for years, and I guess I will till the day I die, because I haven't given up on God. I mean, I love Jesus, and I'm holding on to Jesus and not to the church doctrine that I grew up with, which made me feel guilty and fearful. But I don't know. I don't know what's the balance. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You know, how you're supposed to pray, or do you pray at all? Anybody have any suggestions?
Yeah, Venus, we'll get to you in a second, but does anybody have thoughts or encouragement or feedback on that for Sandy and Eric on that struggle to how to view God in this season? I told us not to be afraid of silence. Now we're going to have lots of it. Yeah, Wendell.
Yeah, I can feel what Sandy feels, and I think that prayer in its one of its original forms is to ask. But if I know a friend and I know what their character is, my actions or my responses could be done without asking in one regard. And I guess the joy of working together is, you know, of course, speaking and talking, but with God. But the other part is knowing Him as a friend to understand, okay, well, this is what he would do, or she would do. So I would, you know, jump in and take initiative.
Yeah. We can keep hitting those topics, but let's get to Venus. Venus, what's on your mind?
Thank you. I am really appreciating the comments and the honesty and like the heartfelt things that the participants are expressing. Thank you so much. And thank you for the question, and thank you for the space. And so I left my church of my childhood when I was 19, and I'm 60 now. And I had really looked around for a long time, and it wasn't until probably my mid 40s when I was having these mental health issues that I just could not move forward anymore, without going back and doing some work. So I learned how to meditate. And I was introduced to a book that suggested that, and we've heard this, that God is love. And so for me, all these years, when I hear God, instead of thinking of someone sitting on a throne with a face and a beard or whatever you imagine, whatever I imagined God to be, if God is love and we are to serve God, then we're serving love. That's why I call myself Venus, is because my great question in life is how to love people, right? And it's easy in the abstract. Like you could say, oh, I love all of God's children, but in practical measures, day to day, people that are abusing you or whatever, doing their own drama, whatever it is, how do you love them? And everyone gets to be loved, me too. So how do I love them and love me? So that's always for me what I go back to. And for me, God is love. Makes it super simple.
That's good, Venus. Thank you.
For me. Anyway.
In that context, like in my video there, I was saying it is loving to tell people close to us. For me, it is loving to say, you don't get to abuse me. You don't get to violate my boundaries. What do you guys think about that? What does love look like? We know Jesus said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. He didn't stand up for himself, but he did demonstrate some. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? That loving people around us includes saying, hey, I'm going to take care of myself. It's important for me to put my oxygen mask on first, so I have resources to help others. And it is loving for me to have boundaries with you. How do you guys feel about that?
I think that, the greatest commandment is to love God and then love our neighbor as ourselves. So that means we have to love ourselves. And, I grew up in an alcoholic home, and I think in that environment, you just learn to put other people in front of you in like a really dysfunctional way, and you take care of people at the expense of taking care of yourself. And so I did that for lots of years, and a lot of like most of my relationships, and in the recovery world we call that codependency. And just through 10 years or so now of like codependency recovery, I just have experienced such a healthier way of loving other people when I can also love myself, which often really does require very firm boundaries with other people. I've got to be able to respect myself to be able to respect other people. I've got to be able to love myself to be able to love other people. So I just, and I love that verse, and I missed that nuance of that verse for a long time that says, love your neighbor as yourself. I always really focused on the love your neighbor part, loving God and loving your neighbor. And I really missed the loving yourself part of that, but it's really an important part of that passage.
It's good. You can comment on that. And what about Sandy's question on prayer? Do you guys pray in this season? What does prayer, what does interacting with heaven look like for you? in this season with God, if you will, or what? I would just love somebody to chime in on how are you handling prayer, faith, hope, interaction with something supernatural. What does that look like for you in this season? I'm just kind of asking, what does practicality look like for you in this as a spiritual being in this space? Eric, I see your hand up.
So, I originally started meditating because one of the things I wanted to do was to learn to talk less when I'm praying. It's sort of evolved from there, but I still think the general principle for me has been I just want to be aware of God and be aware of myself and everything else more than I want to talk during prayer, because for me a lot of I am a control enthusiast, and so part of me controlling situations that I can't control is praying incessantly about it, which is technically what the Bible says to do. But I've been trying to wean myself off of really, or trying to reinforce to myself to trust God by just accepting the present moment as it is and accepting myself for who I am, and really just trying to hone in on being present with that. And I still pray. I had a friend lose his dad the other day, and I prayed for them. And I've been praying for them, and just so I still pray. I still observe the, I don't know what you want to call them, some of the spiritual practices, but I've been trying to really get the silence and solitude part of spiritual disciplines down more than a lot of the busy work that we're often told to do.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you, Eric. Wendell, your hand's up.
Yeah, here's a practical one that I've adopted: the ubiquitous pray over your food, pray a blessing. So I've stopped doing that, and I've started praying while I'm shopping to ask for help as I, walk through junk food. If I buy this and I eat it, what will it do to me? So I think the prayer is more effective, the conversation, at the point of gathering the ingredients of what's going to be, put in the meal.
Well, that's cool. But aren't you afraid of getting sick if you don't say grace in Jesus' name before a meal?
Well, yeah, absolutely not. I've seen the opposite, right? Just part of being Southern Baptist at one point, praying over incredibly bad food and expecting that you'll be okay, and the reverse happened.
Yeah. It actually is almost triggering to me, because I remember all those meals like let this food be nourishing to our body. That was one of the lines we learned to be a good Christian. And I'm eating McDonald's, asking God to make the food nourishing to my body. Sandy.
Yes, this goes back to what I was talking about with the control issue. How much control do I have, and how much control am I supposed to give to God? So instead of praying, and which I still do though, please heal this person, please keep my daughter safe, please do this, please do that. It drives me crazy, because I see that that's just not how it seems to work. I see too much. It just doesn't seem to work that way. So try to just give it to Jesus the best I can, and just say, I don't know what to pray for this person. You only know that this person may need to go through this hard time, but I'm praying that they won't have to go through, for their soul's journey or whatever. So that's kind of helped me, just to really try to place it in God's hands and say, here, you take care of it, because I am driving myself crazy trying to control it all. So that kind of helps me a little bit.
It's good. I've sometimes found my prayers were attempt to manipulate the world around me more so than to pray in partnership with God. Scott, your hand's up.
Yeah. I think what helps for me, at least in this season, is short little breath prayers that I've learned from mentors. You know, the Jesus prayer, Lord have mercy. And when I don't know what to pray for, I ask God for, Lord, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as is in heaven, in my life as it is in heaven, in this other person's need, whatever your will is, what they need, Lord, that you would supply that. And so it's disincentivizing for me to pray when I don't know what to pray for, if I'm just doing it on my own. And I think that, well, let me give God a bunch of suggestions, you know, that he thinks that he surely needs me to suggest to him. So the short prayers, the breath prayers, I love the prayer of the guy that Jesus was trying to help. He says, I believe, Lord, but help my unbelief. That means a lot to me in this season.
Yeah. So good. Thank you guys for sharing today. And we're going to go into community time, and you guys can keep talking about it and talk about what it looks like for you. I'm just mindful of the proverb that says, if you search for wisdom, if you treasure it like silver, it'll be yours. And I use a line in my coaching curriculum from a guy that calls himself a futurist. His name is Alvin Toffler. And he says, illiteracy in this age isn't the inability to read. In this age, illiteracy is the inability to learn or to unlearn what we've known, learn again, and then unlearn again what we've learned. And being able to relearn and relearn and relearn, I believe, is vital in this season. And so I just bless you wherever you are on that journey, whatever it looks like to you. It is courageous to step away, like Abraham stepped away from the land of his father. And it says he believed God and it was credited to him as righteousness. And I believe when we're willing to courageously allow our mind to be renewed and step away from the religion of our fathers, from the land of our fathers, from that really comfortable nest of religious belief community, it can be really disconcerting, but I think there's an honor that comes from heaven in that. And I just honor you for being courageous to step out in that. So Carol, you're last before we go to community.
Okay, good morning. I just wanted to throw out an invitation. Monday evening, anybody that's in the local area, Central Valley area, we're going to meet at 6 o'clock. Or what did we say? I don't remember anymore.
I think it's 5:30. And by the way, that's the Central Valley of California for those.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
sorry.
Not everybody.
So if anybody's local, you can, get in touch with Paul. Or I don't know, how else would you get a hold of me?
They could get a hold of you through social media, and on our Sunday community page on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay, so we're all meeting like in person. So if you're interested in doing that, my home will be open.
Yeah. Wish we could get you all together, but no, it's a week from tomorrow, Heidi.
Yes, a week from tomorrow, May 9th.
Yeah.
May 9th.
So yeah, if you can make it, that would be wonderful. We'd love to see everybody face to face. Thanks for remembering that, Carol, and throwing that out. All right, Lauren and Charity, take us to community time.
Great. I will open up the rooms.
All right, TikTok. Hang on 1 second. Let me get reset here with you guys, and I'll be glad to answer thoughts, questions that you have. And YouTube, we will tell you so long and have a